This South Winn Coach Conversation brought to you by Dave's Collision Shop in Ossian, Becker Hardware in Ossian, and Fidelity Bank and Trust in Ossian and Calmar. We're having a conversation with South Winn wrestling coach Jacob Elsbernd. And Jake, so far on the mat, your team has done some nice things here in the early going of the season. What's pleased you the most?
Yeah, we've had a couple duels now. We wrestled over at Wapsie Valley for the tournament last weekend, and still trying to get healthy so we don't have everybody back. But I guess the one thing I've been happiest about is we have some young kids that are, either going to be in the varsity lineup or are, filling in for someone, or maybe just our varsity guy all year. But they're really doing a good job, catching on, doing some basic stuff, really being very coachable, and that obviously makes you feel good even if you're not winning matches. If kids are learning and listening, that's a great thing.
When you talk about young guys getting into your room and starting to get it here early on in the season, you returned to quite a bit of experience off of a pretty good team a year ago. Does that just make your room that much better?
Yeah. No, we were really excited about the team. We had 8 returning district qualifiers, and then pretty much everybody on the team that was healthy last year was returning. So we knew we had a lot of the pieces, and then we actually were able to bring a pretty good sized 8th grade group, and the majority of them all came back out. So this is the most depth we've had in 10 years that I've been here, actually, as far as number wise.
And when you look at the way the world is right now with COVID and the pandemic, how have practices been different this year than in years past?
Oh, for sure. Very unique season so far. And we've had to really kind of brainstorm and figure out how we're going to do this. And, with the numbers I just mentioned, we may have been doing this without COVID, but between COVID and the numbers having 4 girls out and a bunch of boys, we decided to split practices. And so we're doing a lot more, weight training and some different conditioning stuff outside the room to split the groups up. And so far it's been good. It's kind of hard. I feel like maybe we're not getting enough time in the room some days, but then we just need to figure out a way to make, the time we have, the best, most efficient, I guess.
And being the fact you are splitting up practices, does that allow maybe a little bit more individual attention than you were able to do if everybody is in the room at the same time? Is that maybe a blessing in disguise?
Yeah, it is. We have our girls and a lot of our younger kids in the group, and then we have a lot of the returners in the second group. And those practices, we're still teaching some of the same things, but the way we go about teaching them or the intensity of the workout, those vary depending on what group we have in the room. And instead of having 28 kids in the room, when we have groups of 12 to 14, it's much easier to get around and give kids some more individual time, when they're split up into that smaller group. So yeah, you're right. There are definitely some positives that have come out of the whole situation.
Just got to have the ability to adapt whatever the situation, and that's probably something you've taught your kids for quite some time, correct?
Yeah. That's wrestling. It's life. You just got to be ready to roll with it, and it can be hard sometimes. But trying to spin it away to be positive, and try to keep sending a positive message, and just really right now truly be happy that we're wrestling.
And coming up this weekend, one of the big events for you guys on the season, even though it's going to look tremendously different this year, is the South Winn Wrestling Invitational. Unfortunately, nobody will be able to see it in person from a fan perspective, but the action on the mat should be really, really good.
Absolutely. We're so excited that we're able to have the tournament. There won't be spectators, but we have 9 teams, and they're tough, and we will be streaming it. So people at home, we really encourage them to tune in and watch it, because there's going to be a lot of great action. We have the defending state champions and runner-ups with West Delaware on stage. Obviously, Decorah, walk-on, ourselves, North Fayette Valley. Comanche is coming up this year for the first time. They're going to make the drive up here, and we're excited. They have some nice athletes. And then we did get Denver back as well. They were gone for a year or two here, and so Denver's back. And then obviously New Hampton. So just a lot of great teams, a lot of two-way teams with a lot of tradition, and we're excited for some very high-quality wrestling.
And I know I've loved the stories over the past few years. There have been guys that have finished maybe third or fourth at the South Winn Invitational that have finished second or third at the state meet. So basically, this is as good as it gets coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And for our school, we're a little bit smaller than a lot of these schools, and so it's a very challenging tournament for us, and it's we're talking to some of these kids about, hey, just all we want to see is you battle hard, and we're going to see some great competition, and this might be tougher than your district tournament. It probably is. It's tougher than their district tournament to get state. So it's like, this is great practice of seeing quality kids, because you really kind of find out about yourself when you see high quality kids.
And coming up this weekend, obviously the results might not be what you want, knowing the fact that the competition is going to be really good this weekend. How do you go about selling to your kids that, you're facing probably two of the top 2A teams in the state, many other really good teams in the state. You're going to get better by wrestling this competition this weekend. How do you go about selling that message to your young men?
Yeah, I mean, that's really, you just got to kind of paint the picture that it's not all about the wins, all day, every day. Like, there'll be so many teachable moments, when we go back, whether we talk about it immediately after the match, or whether we go back on film and point out some things, because even our top end kids, who have won a lot of matches for us already this year, they're going to get tested by kids who are maybe even better. And we can go back and say, hey, look at this. You kind of get away with this sometimes against your average kid, but these top level kids, you're going to do things a little differently. And those are the things we can work on moving forward, and hopefully they learn from it. And then here late January into February, we've made those corrections, I guess, and it'll benefit us.
All right, Jake, it should be a fun day of wrestling Saturday. We'll have it on the radio at 94.9 and 99.1 The River as well. It should be a great day of wrestling, and a lot of guys that'll be state place winners going to be wrestling in Calmar this weekend. To your team, we wish good health, and we wish you best of luck.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for all the coverage and the support. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed.
Jake Elsbernd, head coach of the South Winn Warriors. This South Winn Coach Conversation brought to you by Fidelity Bank and Trust in Ossian and Calmar, Becker Hardware in Ossian, and Dave's Collision Shop in Ossian.